Welcome to the John and Heidi Show podcast.
John and Heidi.
Here's John and Heidi.
Thanks for listening to the John and Heidi Show. Hey, baby, how you doing?
I'm good. How are you?
Fabulous. This is a green weekend with, St. Patrick's weekend and all. But my guest today, not talking about Ireland, talking about China. Roseanne Lake. She's the author of a new book called Leftover in China, and it's about women who are in the work world in China and don't get married, and I guess they feel really bad because they consider themselves left over. So I believe, if I read the article correctly. But we're going to talk about the book and get all the details from Roseanne Lake later in the program. Ready for a couple of quotes for today, Heidi?
Absolutely.
Let's do the whole darn weekend. Saturday's quote is from Carolyn Miss. Do you really want to look back on your life and see how wonderful it could have been had you not been afraid to live in it? No, I don't. The Sunday quote from Francis of Assisi. Start by doing what is necessary, then do what's possible, and then suddenly you're doing the impossible. I love it. Love it. Very nice. A couple of fun quotes for this weekend, the 17th and 18th of March.
John and Heidi.
There are monthly subscriptions for razors and coffee and many other things, but this is the best monthly subscription ever. Ladies, listen up. Odiva has a monthly subscription for your monthly visitor. You know it's going to happen every month, and how many times have you been caught off guard? Odiva will send you a box discreetly each month with the products you want, with plans starting at less than $4 a month. Get a special offer right now at radiosavings.com, helping women prepare for their monthly visitor for less. Try it now at radiosavings.com.
John and Heidi.
Today is a special day, Heidi. Do you know what today is?
What is today, John?
I thought you'd never ask. Let's do the whole darn weekend. Saturday, March the 17th, is St. Patrick's Day. Top of the morning to ya. I'm not going to even go on with that because I don't do accents. I was trying to do an accent the other day, and they said he's Italian? I was like, no, I think he's Greek. I don't know. I'll just move on. National Corned Beef and Cabbage Day, Campfire Girls Day, Doctor-Patient Trust Day, International Sports Car Racing Day, Maple Syrup Saturday, National Corn Dog Day, and Submarine Day. Sunday the 18th, Awkward Moments Day, Forgive Mom and Dad Day, Goddess of Fertility Day, National Biodiesel Day, National Buzzard Day, National Lacy Oatmeal Cookie Day, and Supreme Sacrifice Day. All of that on Sunday. I'm going to go back to the Saturday here for a second. The Doctor-Patient Trust Day, is that where the doctor says, okay, you fall back and I'll catch you?
No.
Okay.
It's not a trust fall.
Not a trust fall. Don't do that. Then he gets a call in the middle of it and you fall on the floor. Not good. All of this stuff going on this weekend. Get out there and have some fun.
John and Heidi.
Sadly, more than 350 million people suffer from depression. Scientifically, your actual brain chemistry levels are affected. Now a breakthrough, safe and natural, non-prescription coffee product has been shown to help. It elevates levels of dopamine, serotonin, and endorphins in the brain, which makes you happier. Just by drinking this special cup of coffee, many reported elevated mood, feeling more connected, having greater energy, clarity, and focus. Try it for yourself at firstcupisfree.com. Get a free sample at firstcupisfree.com.
John and Heidi.
Coming up, we've got some, what do we have? Oh, your brain on drugs. That's what we do here in just a bit. But before we get to that, I do have one thing here I think it's kind of interesting. A survey by AAA is predicting the national price of gasoline could hit $2.70 a gallon this spring, which could cause a decrease in people taking recreational road trips. So there's a lot of coulds in there. So saying, if this happens, this could happen. So I remember when gas prices were even higher than that.
Way higher.
They were really high for a while. And then I noticed that we didn't go places as much, but there were still some places you had to go. So I hope that doesn't happen again.
Yeah.
Coming up, your brain on drugs.
John and Heidi.
Each day at this time, we talk about people doing dumb things under the influence, but addiction is no laughing matter. If you or someone you know needs help, there's a toll-free number you can call.
1-800-438-0380.
That's the Addiction Hope and Helpline.
1-800-438-0380.
And this is your brain on drugs. Miami Beach club shut down over go-go dancer riding horse on dance floor.
Oh, I read about this online.
Yeah, I've got a link to the story. This was actually sent to me. They said, hey, you should share this for your brain on drugs. And I've had it now for like a week, but here it is. This happened at a Florida nightclub that has been an internet sensation. People have been talking about this as the partiers at the Mokia Lounge in Miami Beach are seen screaming as an animal is ridden by a go-go dancer. The animal is a giant horse. The horse panics because of all the flashes from people flashing their phones, loud music, and yelling. The dancer's thrown. The horse looks like it's trying to bite somebody before the video cuts out. Last Friday, when this all popped up, not just the other day, but like a week ago, is when this all happened. City manager Jimmy Morales pulled the business license from that club. They said, no more horsing around.
Yeah.
So there you go.
That makes sense.
It does. That's what happens when your brain is on drugs.
John and Heidi.
Now, big screen, little screen. Tomb Raider hits the theaters this weekend. It is PG-13, 122 minutes. In this, you're going to see who, I don't know any of these people. Lara Croft, the fiercely independent daughter of a missing adventurer, must push herself beyond her limits when she finds herself on the island where her father disappeared. Tomb Raider, PG-13. Also, Love, Simon, PG-13. And who's in this one? I don't know these people. Oh, Jennifer Garner, I know her. Simon Spear keeps a huge secret from his family, his friends, and all of his classmates that he's gay. When that secret is threatened, Simon must face everyone and come to terms with his identity. So it's called Love, Simon. Journey's End, rated R. Don't know any of the names on there. Set in a dugout in 1918. It's a story of a group of British soldiers led by the mentally disintegrating young officer Stanhope as they await their fate. 7 days in Entebbe. I don't know if I'm saying that right. I apologize. PG-13. And this is inspired by a true story from 1976, the hijacking of Air France en route to Tel Aviv, it's the true story. And then one other movie that we're going to have one of the stars from this movie on the program on Monday. The movie is called I Can Only Imagine. Last Monday, we talked to one of the gentlemen and the director of the movie, Kevin Downs. And then on Friday, we talked to the Irwin brothers that put the movie out. So that is a good movie. It's called I Can Only Imagine. That's also in theaters. All of that happening on the big screen. This has been Big Screen, Little Screen, brought to you by ChannelSurferTV.com.
John and Heidi.
You can go to college without student loans. Do you have a kid in 11th or 12th grade or in college? Let me save you time, energy, and most importantly, your hard-earned money. My name is Matthew Einstein, and I earned my undergraduate degree from the University of Texas and my master's from Prescott College with no loans. And I was an all-around average student. Not only am I a living example, but I have 10 years of proven results, not guesswork. Take my first course for free that walks you through my journey by going to learnwithoutloans.com.
Now your scoop of the day, courtesy of FirstCupIsFree.com. A Facebook survey found that 80% of people have a more negative opinion of O.J. Simpson now after the Sunday night TV confession. And it says 75% of viewers believe O.J.'s interview pretty much amounts to him confessing to murder. That
Absolutely.
was from last Sunday, which still would not be enough to convict him in court, by the way. So
well, because he was already found
Yes.
not guilty, so there's nothing they can do about it now.
So, but that's where he's
I mean,
like,
he could flat out say, I absolutely did it.
Yeah.
It's not even a hypothetical. I did it, and there's
Yeah.
nothing that anybody could do.
Well, so that was last weekend, and I've had some of these stories. I've had a while, Heidi. We don't have time to get to all this stuff. Pennsylvania's Leahy University has banned a sorority for conducting a scavenger hunt that included them. These are the things you had to do to win the scavenger hunt: go and have nookie with somebody.
Oh,
You had to do drugs, and you had to drink alcohol, and all of these were for freshmen who are not old enough to drink, and nobody should be doing the drugs. So this was all part of their hazing, or what do you call it? Like when I want to get into this sorority. The university has banned that, saying you're no longer able to do that. How long have they been doing that?
I don't know.
How long has the university known they've been doing that?
and how would they prove if they had
I don't know.
relations with somebody?
Don't know. Not sure. Don't think I want to know. Moving on. Debris from a Chinese space station is expected to crash to Earth on the night of April 3rd. It is believed to look right now like it's going to land somewhere in lower Michigan. That has the highest probability of getting hit. Shouldn't that story read, let's get the heck out of lower Michigan?
Yeah.
I'm going to post a link to that story. If you know people who live in this affected area, make sure you let them know. And keep in mind, their math could be off a little bit. It could be just about anywhere. I'm pretty sure April 3rd, we should all just go in our basement and hang out for a while until we know this is safe. That is just crazy. A new report claims that Russian President Vladimir Putin ordered a passenger jet to be shot down in 2014. Now, let me explain what happened. He got a report that a man on board had a bomb and was heading toward the Sochi Olympics. This was back in 2014.
Oh, yeah, okay.
So he said, shoot it down. And it was a passenger jet. He redacted the order about 2 minutes later when they found out it was a false alarm.
Wow.
Imagine if they had acted a little quicker.
Right.
I mean, so how do you get a false alarm like that?
I don't know.
That just seems kind of crazy.
Yeah, that would be horrible.
I wonder if there's going to be a movie about that, because we just talked about a movie that's coming out about a terrorist a threat that happened on an airplane. True story from the 70s. I'd like to see the movie about what happened there in the timeline. That would be absolutely fascinating. And one last thing, we might have time for two last things, but at least this one last thing. After discussing this with Heidi, we might not have time. So there are new cards hitting the store shelves right now for Mother's Day in the United Kingdom, and these are a new line of cards for a gender neutral Mother's Day cards that just say Happy You Day. They don't say Happy Mother's Day. Happy You Day. Do we really need that? Are there people? Maybe there are. Because here's the thing. If you were Bruce Jenner's kid, would you give him a Mother's Day card or a Father's Day card? I mean, he was your father, but now he's not. Well, he is, but, it's confusing to me.
How sad is it that this is even something that we have to talk about?
You want to make sure you have a card. I know. That's what I'm saying.
But it doesn't matter if you're giving them a card on Mother's Day. It's still Mother's Day.
And that's where they made a card because they thought there's a big enough need that we need this card. I've got a link to this story because I would love to hear your input. If you think this was absolutely positively necessary, please let me know. And I'm serious. I don't mean any disrespect. If you're listening going, John, you are so out of touch, let me know that. I'm not trying to be disrespectful. I love all people, and I'm certainly not trying to say that you shouldn't get this. I just don't understand it because, again, it's Happy You Day. There's a lot of other cards you could give. Did you really need that new section? How big is the section? I don't know.
You really do not want my opinion on this,
we'll move on.
We should move on.
Thanks for listening. We got a lot of other fun stuff to get to. Thanks for listening to the John and Heidi Show.
John and Heidi.
Radio really works. That's a pretty bold statement, but it's true. If you advertise on the radio the right way, you'll see results. I've said for years, advertising costs money, but effective advertising makes money. The only difference between spending money and making money is that one word, effective. Let us help you make your advertising more effective. Learn more at RadioReallyWorks.com. We do radio jingles and creative ads to help you get better results with the money you're already spending. Hear examples at RadioReallyWorks.com. That's RadioReallyWorks.com. Thanks for listening to the John and Heidi Show. We've got a special guest joining us today. She's the author of a new book called Leftover in China, The Women Shaping the World's Next Superpower. It's Roseanne Lake. Roseanne, thanks for joining us today.
Thank you, John, for having me.
Now, this book is a really cool idea because it's something that, unless you sit and think about it, you just kind of forget that for a long time in China, they were, having one child and per family, and for many years it was almost frowned upon. If, oh no, we had a girl instead of a boy, the family name's not going on. But the thing that's kind of neat is that turned into a situation where all of a sudden now to have a girl is a good thing because there are a lot of opportunities that she's going to have, and this whole concept of the book Leftover in China kind of goes into that. Talk a little more about the inspiration for writing this book.
Yes, well, that's exactly true. I found myself in China in 2009. I was working at a TV station, and I didn't know much about China at the time. I didn't speak Mandarin at the time, and I found myself surrounded at the TV station by a group of very impressive young women. They were the producers and the editors, and they were running the channel. And after our first Chinese New Year together, so right around this time of year, Happy Year of the Dog, by the way, they came back to the office in a very different mood. And I was asking around, what's going on? Why aren't my usually very chipper colleagues, behaving as they usually do? And I found out that it was because they weren't married. And in China, if you're over 27, or if you're actually even inching close to the age of 27, you're known as a leftover woman. And they had just come back from, visiting parents and had been lacquered with a fresh layer of this pressure to get married, because it was considered that if they didn't hurry up and do it soon, they wouldn't be able to find a partner. And this all comes from this idea, as you mentioned earlier, the one-child policy. Many of these girls were only daughters. They are among the first generations of only daughters to be raised in China, and as a result of not having brothers, they were raised as sons. So they got those educational opportunities and those family resources that allowed them to achieve and to be in charge at the TV station where I was working. But then suddenly, when it got to marriage age, it was like, wait a minute, you're our daughter. Quick, become a girl again, and scale it back and get married and give us a grandchild as is expected of you from a societal perspective. So there certainly was a positive side, or a very fine silver lining to an otherwise very gruesome cloud, which was the one-child policy, and it's playing out in interesting ways. I mean, it's given women new opportunities that society isn't really ready to understand, right? China's economy has grown very quickly, but the culture is kind of still struggling to recalibrate to a new economic and demographic reality, and just, women with different priorities. Marriage is something they consider, but it's maybe not the first thing on their minds after they graduate from college. Maybe it's a graduate degree, maybe it's traveling, maybe it's working abroad, and so that's very new, and that's all. A lot of it is, a lot of what has contributed to this is that one-child policy and these first generations of only daughters.
Again, visiting with Roseanne Lake, the author of Leftover in China, The Women Shaping the World's Next Superpower. Now, you were saying that you worked at a TV station in China. How long were you in China altogether?
I was there for 5 years.
And how different is, I understand this is kind of a weird question, but how different is that culture and living there than what you were anticipating it to be? Was it kind of what you expected, or completely different?
Well, I was only expecting to go there for a couple of months. I actually took a sabbatical from my job in New York and, just thought I would learn the language a little bit. But I bought a hot orange electric scooter, a little Vespa, and Beijing, I was just sitting with the city. It was so fun to ride around in the city that's as flat as a pancake and has magnificently wide bike lanes and terrible traffic, but it's actually much more pleasant to bike around Beijing than it is New York City. And, I could hear people speaking this language and see funny things going on, right? Sometimes you would see this giant cart full of white cabbages just roll by you, and next to that there's a Bentley, right? And then those contrasts of extreme wealth, and then remnants of a different China sort of crisscrossing in your path every day were fascinating. And it got to the point where, I don't know, when I moved back to the U.S., I suffered reverse culture shock. It was just kind of like, wait a minute, things seem pretty mundane here. I know how things work. Whereas in China, I got up every day, and there was always bound to be something that was going to surprise me. And that's what I really enjoyed about living there.
Get home and say, hey, where's my cart of cabbage?
Exactly. The giant trucks of bai tai, or, things like that. You don't really see those in New York. You see weird things here, but not quite the big white cabbage cart.
So the book Leftover in China is available right now. Do you have other books in mind, like a next project that you're working on right now?
Well, I've now shifted gears, and I cover Cuba for The Economist. And it's been a fascinating transition because in many ways, Cuba, when I first had my eye on it, starting in 2015, I thought it would be like China in 1979, right, when the economic reforms begin. Because in 2015, diplomatic relations were reestablished between the U.S. and Cuba, and there were lots of foreign companies, namely American ones, eyeing the possibility of investing there. And so I thought, wow, is this going to be the chance for me to travel back in time to 1979 and really, observe firsthand a country that's on the cusp from switching to a centrally planned economy to, a more capitalist-minded one. And I realized that shift will happen in Cuba, but it's certainly not going to be anywhere near as fast or anywhere near as dramatic as it was in China. I mean, that was a very special situation, and a lot of effort that was put into, and a lot that was sacrificed in growing that economy to be what it has been. The leaders of Cuba are much more conservative. They're much more concerned about class inequalities, and they're not really willing to open them up as much as China did. But in 2015, it wasn't clear, and so it was a fascinating segue. And now that we have President Trump and relations with Cuba have taken a bit of a downturn, the prospect for American companies isn't quite as strong as it was, and as a result, Chinese companies are stepping up, right? You're seeing Chinese investment, especially in tourism in Cuba. And so for me, it's so much fun. I mean, it's so much fun to wander around Havana and see Chinese people and to speak Chinese with them and to find out what they're doing. It's, because it's ideologically the cultures have a lot in common, and even though one is gigantic and one is just a small Caribbean island, they are both kind of diplomatic powerhouses. I mean, Cuba doesn't have relations with the U.S., but it has relations with just about everybody else. And it's an important player in Latin American politics and African politics. It has those relations. Canada, very important relationships. And so it's just been wonderful to sort of, trace China and Cuba, which is, of course, a very different culture and a very different place to report on, from the people to the food to just how you get things done, right? China is a very wealthy country and a very poor country, but I lived in a big city and I was exposed to a lot of its wealth, and I was exposed to a lot of its speed, right? You can do everything on the internet. It's a cashless society. You scan QR codes to, get things done. You don't really take out credit cards, and we definitely don't use cash anymore. It's very much in the future as far as fintech goes, and it's a very connected place. And things move quickly, and there's money to invest. And Cuba is the absolute opposite. I mean, you have to use cash for everything, and everything's slow, and there isn't money to invest, but there's a whole lot of charm, and there are other values that Cuba has that I appreciate. So it's fascinating to see them together, and that's probably what I'll continue to work on going forward, because I'm hooked on both countries.
And it's kind of your two worlds colliding, really.
They are, yeah.
Again, on the line right now with Roseanne Lake. She's the author of a new book called Leftover in China, The Women Shaping the World's Next Superpower. It's available right now. I've got a link to it on our Facebook page to make it really easy. You can find that at facebook.com/John and Heidi Show.
John and Heidi.
In a world that constantly tells you you're not good enough,
12 easy ways to lose weight now.
it's easy to start believing that. I'm Amanda Johnson. I have a new perspective on the self-help genre. My book, Becoming Enough, A Heroine's Journey to the Already Perfect Self, will guide you to find your own happiness. Learn to block out the distractions of what the world thinks and learn to be happy with who you truly are. Becoming Enough. Available now on Amazon, or learn more at amandajohnson.tv.
Fun fact for you, Heidi.
What's that, John?
The longest musical performance in history is currently taking place right now in the Church of St. Burchardi in Halberstadt, Germany. The performance of John Cage's Organ 2 Alsop, As Slow as Possible. It started September 5th, 2001, and is set to finish in the year 2640. The last time the note changed, by the way, was 2013. The next note will not change for 2 more years in 2020. So it's a really, really long performance of the same note. I hope they're not still having church at this church.
Right? That would be so annoying.
Could you imagine going to church and you're like, what's going on in the corner? Oh, it's a guy. He's working on a world record. I mean, that's going to be playing until 2640. Started in 2001. So 639 years. What if I start mine right now, John, and I make mine go for 300 years?
So,
I don't know. I won't have an answer.
it's not a person that plays it,
No,
right?
It's they've got
They
like
put
something
something on
sitting
it.
on there, and it's just playing. And I think it's kind of goofy, and I don't get it. But longest musical performance in history taking place now. That's our fun fact, courtesy of LearnWithoutLoans.com.
John and Heidi.
Sadly, more than 350 million people suffer from depression. Scientifically, your actual brain chemistry levels are affected. Now a breakthrough, safe and natural, non-prescription coffee product has been shown to help. It elevates levels of dopamine, serotonin, and endorphins in the brain, which makes you happier. Just by drinking this special cup of coffee, many reported elevated mood, feeling more connected, having greater energy, clarity, and focus. Try it for yourself at firstcupisfree.com. Get a free sample at firstcupisfree.com.
John and Heidi.
Time now for the grandiloquent word of the day. Today's word is France. France. F-R-O-O-N-C-E. France. What do you think France means?
Wouldn't it be fruits?
Well, maybe it is France. France. F-R-O-O-N-C-E. France. France.
I don't know what
France.
it means.
I don't know what it is. It's a verb. It is to go about in an active, bustling manner. to move in an energetic or noisily fashion. The only etymology I can find is that it is from Yorkshire. Used in a sentence, after sprunting all weekend, then fruncing to get to my chores, I'm well quakened.
Aha.
Oh, of course.
That's a great sentence.
Anyone who says that, by the way, the next thing that's going to happen is atomic wedgie. Just so you know. Just comes with a warning. You can say frunce. You can say France. Just get ready for them to grab you by the underpants. All right. This has been your grandiloquent word of the day.
John and Heidi.
You can go to college without student loans. Do you have a kid in 11th or 12th grade or in college? Let me save you time, energy, and most importantly, your hard-earned money. My name is Matthew Einstone, and I earned my undergraduate degree from the University of Texas and my master's from Prescott College with no loans. And I was an all-around average student. Not only am I a living example, but I have 10 years of proven results, not guesswork. Take my first course for free that walks you through my journey by going to learnwithoutloans.com.
Time now for some weird news brought to you by firstcupisfree.com. This could be your moment of duh or your weird news so many times, interchangeable, but this is where we're going. 10 minutes after buying his dream sports car, a 37-year-old Melbourne man was clocked at 100 kilometers per hour. That's like 62 miles per hour. In a 40 kilometer per hour zone, which is like 24 miles per hour.
Oh, okay.
He was immediately pulled over, purchased a 2013 Porsche SUV. The Australian man began speeding and filming himself drive at more than double the speed limit. The vehicle, which had been purchased about 10 minutes earlier, was impounded.
10 minutes.
Yeah, impounded for 30 days. The man is expected to be charged on summons for speeding and using a mobile phone while driving. I've got a link to the story if you want to read that. I can tell you, I got pulled over one time while test driving a car.
Did you?
Long time ago. Yeah.
Why does that not surprise
It
me?
was a really dumb day. So I was test driving a car. It was kind of sporty, and I was like, hey, it's got a little bit of a punch to it. And I hit the gas, and I was like, whoa, look at that. And then, woo! I was like, oh, no. I did not buy the car. I was like, this is a bad omen. I'm not going to get this car. Meanwhile, it was my problem, not the car's. This is your weird news, brought to you by firstcupisfree.com. Now your moment of duh, courtesy of learnwithoutloans.com. 70-year-old, okay, keep in mind, 70-year-old, should know better, Linda Tracy Gellman from Utah. She'd been found guilty of trying to hire a hitman to kill her ex-husband.
Oh.
She was charged for the third time with attempting to get somebody killed.
Holy cow.
She was found guilty on Friday of one count of a criminal solicitation as she was trying to hire a hitman to kill her ex-husband and his new wife. She was also charged Friday, the same day, by the way, with a new count of solicitation of a hitman. While she was in jail, she tried to get another inmate to murder the man who she initially hired to kill her ex-husband.
Gosh.
She's like, all I need you to do is kill this guy who was going to kill my ex-husband. Turns out he was a cop. Now I need you to kill this cop.
Oh, my God.
And that guy was like, I'm also a cop. Dang it. Now I need to find someone to kill you, too.
She is insane.
Yeah, it's a bad idea.
Keep her in prison.
Yeah, I think she's probably not going to see the
Jeez.
freedom ever again. That's just a bad plan. Don't do that. That's why this is today's moment of duh.
John and Heidi.
In a world that constantly tells you you're not good enough,
12 easy ways to lose weight now.
it's easy to start believing that. I'm Amanda Johnson. I have a new perspective on the self-help genre. My book, Becoming Enough, A Heroine's Journey to the Already Perfect Self, will guide you to find your own happiness. Learn to block out the distractions of what the world thinks and learn to be happy with who you truly are. Becoming Enough. Available now on Amazon or learn more at amandajohnson.tv.
Coming up here in just a moment, we have some good news. We're going to get to the good news here first, but I also have some other good news that I'm going to share. This weekend, we had a chance to go to the movie, and I'm super excited to see what Heidi thinks. What'd you think of I Can Only Imagine? Did you like it?
It was amazing.
Yes, fantastic. And on the Monday program, we have a guest from that movie. On the Monday program, we're going to be visiting with a young lady by the name of, what's her name?
Madeline.
My notes are not here, and my brain is not either. So Madeline is going to be here. She, in the movie, plays the girlfriend of Bart, and in the real world, that girlfriend ended up becoming Bart's wife, which is kind of cool. So that's who she portrayed. But she's also in the movie Swing Vote. She was the young girl that was Kevin Costner's daughter.
Right.
So many other amazing movies. She's our guest on the Monday program. We've got your good news coming right up.
John and Heidi.
This portion of the John and Heidi Show is brought to you by the John and Heidi Show. That sounds kind of funny, but it's true. Go to your local radio station and ask them to start carrying the John and Heidi Show. Here's the best part. They can carry the show for free. They play a couple commercials, but it doesn't cost them anything every month. So if you know a radio station that could use a little bit of help, send them our way. Send them to johnandheidishow.com. Again, johnandheidishow.com. We would love to do a radio program in your community. Then you could listen to the podcast and listen to us on the radio.
John and Heidi.
We always like to wrap things up around here with some good news, and I think this is pretty darn good news. Our good news, by the way, comes your way courtesy of Odiva. That's more good news. It's good news for people who don't want to go to the store and buy things like this. It is a monthly subscription service for Ladies Monthly Visitor, and the products that you need for that. All of the details at radiosavings.com. Adidas, the shoe company.
Yeah.
First of all, when you were a kid, did you get Adidas? Were you into that? I had some.
I'm trying to remember if I had.
They were
Adidas.
back when I was a kid. They're black shoes with like the white stripes.
Yeah, but
like
that was that was.
Is that more of a
for
boy
guys.
thing? That was a boy thing. Well, they sold 1 million shoes last year made out of ocean plastic.
Oh, cool.
So the apparel company Adidas, they've been making shoes by finding plastic pollution in the oceans and pulling that ashore.
That's fantastic.
Just to clean up the ocean and use it. So this is just really cool. They told CNBC they'd started selling 3 versions of Ultra Boost recycled plastic shoes last year. Each pair of shoes, which were made in partnership with an environmental organization by the name of Parley for the Oceans, they reuse the equivalent of 11 plastic bottles per shoe. Or maybe it's per pair. All the plastic was gathered by workers that were working on this organization from beaches and coastlines around the world before it made it into the ocean. So this group says, in remote areas, we establish systems to intercept plastic waste before it ends up in landfills and gets burned or buried or tossed into rivers and oceans. We don't see recycling as the ultimate solution for plastic pollution, but keeping plastic that has already been produced in use reduces the need for new virgin plastic. So all that adds up to kudos, cool story, really neat. And I wonder if the shoes are comfortable. You think they smell like seaweed and stuff?
I doubt it.
Probably
I'm
not.
sure they're lovely.
Probably are. Hey, time to say goodbye, Heidi.
Goodbye, Heidi.
Goodbye, everybody. I got a link to this story and other good news and fun stuff at facebook.com/John and Heidi Show.